Last video, we looked at 3 professional ways to open a note in Spanish, and today we're going to look at 3 professional ways to close a note in Spanish. This is just another way you can convey respect and professionalism in your handwritten notes home to Spanish-speaking families. Just like last time, we'll look at 3 different ways, starting with the one that is the most formal and the least familiar, and ending with the one that is most familiar and least formal. So let's start with our first closing, atentamente or sinceramente. Atentamente is a cognate for attentively and sinceramente for sincerely, but they're both used so commonly and interchangeably that I would say that the English equivalent is really sincerely for both of these. So don't feel weird signing atentamente, even though we don't often close notes with attentively in English. This would be your most formal of the 3 options today and your least familiar. Um, we remember last week we looked at opening and we had various ways of ending an opening depending on who we were writing the letter to, if it was a male or a female, 1 person or 2 people. But you don't have to worry about any of those things with these closings because they're adverbs and not adjectives. Therefore, they don't need to match the person who is writing it. It doesn't matter if you're 1 female or if this is from 2 male teachers, etc. This will just always end in the same way, which makes it nice and simple. If we look at a full example of what a note might look like, it might sound like, Estimado señor García, dear Mr. Garcia, name of student, participó en la clase hoy, estoy orgullosa. So-and-so participated in class today, I am very proud. Sincerely, atentamente, Miss Jones. Let's look at number 2, which is kind of a medium level of formality and familiarity. There are different forms of the same thing. So you could either say un saludo, saludos, or the cuter, more endearing version of saludos would be saluditos. Saludo or saludos, the best translation I can think of in English would be like greetings, which we usually think of in English as being just a hello and not a note closing. So this might seem an odd selection of how we might close a note, but this is quite common. If I think about in Hawaiian, aloha being both hello and goodbye, saludo is kind of the same idea. So we don't really have a great corollary in English, but this totally works. This is one of my favorite closings. So this would be how you would end a note that is still professional, still a little bit formal, but with a family that you probably have some sort of relationship with, have spoken with maybe more than once before. An example of what this note might look like is, querida señora Peña, dear Miss Peña, me encanta tener Juan Luis en la clase. I love having Juan Luis in class. Es un estudiante maravilloso. He's a wonderful student. Saludos, Mr. Walker, or greetings, goodbye, take it, Mr. Walker. There's not a great translation in English. And then number 3, you could either end with cuídate, which is like take care, or just gracias, thank you, which would be your most familiar and your least formal option of these 3. An example here would be, señora Méndez, trabajaba duro hoy. Por favor, déjenla saber que aprecio su empeño. So-and-so worked hard today. Please let her know that I appreciate her effort. Cuídate, Maestra Allen, or take care, Miss Allen. And of course, this is kind of your bonus, is just to skip it. You can't always skip the opening and the closing, which would be your most familiar option. An example of that would be just the note itself, right? So, Geraldo ayudaba a sus compañeros hoy. Es muy amable y bondadoso. Geraldo helped his classmates today. He's very kind, friendly and kind. If you would like a copy of my positive note bank home, where you don't have to worry about Google Translate actually translating something correctly, you can scan this QR code or go to this bit.ly link, bit.ly/positive note bank, and it has some kind of universally usable notes home in Spanish that kind of steers you in with the direct language depending on the gender of the student that you're writing about or your own gender as well. Happy note writing.